The Black Fundraisers Podcast. This lock right here. What up, Kia? CH. At lock 121. Get the check out like a physical. We get the checks and the Cheerios. Counting like chocolate cereal. We need the fun and residual. We get the money and flip it, cause we gotta get it. We talking finances, funding and grant biz. Getting and making advances, taking chances with the hot topics. Racism, politics, non-profits. Kia Kroon, she gon' drop knowledge. Whatever you want, the pod got it. Get your facts right. Deep dive and get baptized. Black business, black life, black money, black power, black pride. And the POCs tryna see those fees like casinos. Sitting on TOP, we just spitting our POV. We gon' ride till we on E. We pushing the pedal, we over the limit. We never gon' settle, we been with the business. Every episode is gon' be the realest. Every week you gotta pay us a visit. Come on and hang, hot as a flame. Hating is lame, taking the aim. Changing the game, stay in our lane. Breaking the chains, making it rain. Making it hurricane. Kia Kroon, now you heard the name. The Black Fundraisers Podcast, that's on everything.
Hello out there. It's your favorite fundraiser. I always say that, and I'm going to keep saying that. The founder of the Black Fundraisers Podcast, CEO of the global fundraising firm, Kia Kroon Fundraising and Philanthropy. And I'm so grateful to have a seasoned veteran and homie from the Bay, like me, from the East Bay. I am joined by Adante Pointer. He is a civil rights attorney, co-founder and trial attorney at Lawyers for the People. Welcome, Adante. So glad you stopped by.
Hey, happy to be here. I've been watching you, what you've been doing in terms of on behalf of our culture, going in there, making sure we get seats at these tables, that the funds keep flowing, and, we nurture our spirit and our culture. So kudos and shout out to you for all that you do on our behalf. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. And thank you for the work that you do. I remember when you were with the Burris firm many moons ago. I remember when being a little girl and looking up to John Burris, he was like the Johnny Cochran of the Bay of you. I mean, his work wasn't just limited to the East Bay, but he was the man.
Yes. Well, he's definitely a living legend. Yes, living legend. And he oftentimes compared to Johnny Cochran. I sat there at his elbow for 16 years watching how he did what he did in terms of his craft and skill and, putting on for the community. And, the baton is in my hand now, and I plan to run just as fast, just as hard, and try to have just as much of an impact, if not more.
No, and we appreciate it. We appreciate all the work that you do. So let's get into it. I had to reach out to you about this Fearless Fund ruling by the appellate court. You know the story. Do we want to give a little context for folks that may be late to the party? I don't know where you've been living at if you haven't been following this under a rock, but nonetheless, in my journalism space, I do want to. You want to give a little context?
Sure. There's, the Fearless Fund is a fund that's been set up to, in my opinion, correct and address, the lack of funding, the paucity of any type of opportunities that are being given to Black women, Black people, and community. But in this particular instance, Black women who are jumping into or trying to be in the venture capital space. I believe the statistic was something less than maybe was 1%.
1%.
Of venture funds, and we're talking about billions of dollars.
Billions
that are being, funneled into particular people's hands, which allow them to then grow these companies and have all this equity, and CEOs to get these $500 million, golden parachutes, and then also the ecosystem they create around the other companies and affiliates and executives who all come up together. As we've heard the saying, water, if the tide raises, it raises all boats. And we're just trying to make sure that our boat gets into the same lake, and we get these waters. And so that's what the Fearless Fund was doing. And that was great work. As you said, it was God's work in a big sense. And so what they've got caught up in is a legal tsunami that has been wrecking the legal space, and by its byproduct, different organizations and institutions and businesses who are trying to address all of the disparity, all of the inequity, all of the discrimination, and frankly, racism that's present in many aspects of our society. And the Fearless Fund was focused on venture capital, but the lawsuit that was pointed at them because they were essentially legally attacked, to use my term. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. They were single-handedly singled out. I remember, Adante, when this lawsuit was filed, I remember the conservative organization that founded the gentleman. I'm not even going to dignify, by saying his name.
Yeah.
The American Alliance for Equal Rights, this conservative organization. And I did a little research and found that there were several organizations that this person effort has gone after, specifically around the diversity work that these organizations were doing. Now, I want to add just a little more context for those who may not be familiar with the Fearless Fund, founded by two dynamic sisters. They existed to, like you said, create a table for Black women in the venture space. And their program, the Fearless Strivers, was distributing $20,000 grants to Black women, not just Black women. There were also brown women that would benefit from those awards to infuse their firms with some capital, right? Based on the research I conducted, Adante, Deloitte publishes a biannual study that indicates, it's about 1%, right, invested in Black women-owned firms, and we're talking $595 billion in revenue under management, according to Deloitte. And they surveyed some 300 firms, nearly 6,000 people. So, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about what this means for not only the work that the Fearless Fund was doing, because my understanding is they had to halt that whole operation because it was declared as discriminatory.
Yes, that's unconstitutional. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So they were this organization that you're talking about, led by a billionaire guy who's made it his point, in my opinion, to dismantle any gains that have been made by African Americans, Black men, Black women, African Americans as a group and as a whole, and by extension, any minority groups in this country. And they're doing it by taking and flipping the law on its head, by taking many of the laws that were put in place, civil rights laws that were put in place specifically to address these type of issues that the Fearless Fund were dealing with. And instead, he's using that law being assisted by conservative judges who have been appointed by Trump and others to essentially, in my opinion, pervert the law and make the law now do exactly what it was supposed to keep from happening, which is not take away opportunities, but provide them. And so in this particular case, the appellate court said, look, Fearless Fund, you could no longer exclusively give $20,000 grants or whatever number you can get to Black women. That is discriminatory. And so we saw the same attack here in California, and you should probably remember, with affirmative action with Prop 209. Okay. Yeah. I was a student at UC Berkeley at that time, and I remember, the numbers plummeted immediately. And so what the university had to do there and what other institutions have done, and frankly, this is what the Fearless Fund will do and others, now that they see what's coming their way, you have to find other non-racial factors, characteristics, qualifying things that you can target, which will get you to still get the same results. So, for example, and this is from my legal perspective and also my political background, thinking through, okay, if the law says one thing, what's the other way to get around it? Okay, because One thing about us and our people is we've never taken no for an answer when it comes to opportunity, when it comes to equality, and when it comes to taking on the fight for a better tomorrow for our people. And so we're going to have to stay in that same spirit as our ancestors, in the same spirit as the best and the brightest of our community, and figure a way out over the latest wall or roadblock that they put in our path. And as I mentioned, one of the ways to do that.
You gonna make me break out Lucille. You going to church? I didn't know I was gonna go get a sermon. You gonna make me. You listen. I had to make a joyful noise.
Thank you. I appreciate
I
it.
had to make a joyful noise because here's the deal. There is an extreme amount of fear. There is an extreme amount of, there's been a decline in morale.
Yes.
I work with about 50 Black-led organizations across the nation. And throughout the week, I've been speaking with these Black founders, CEOs, social entrepreneurs, and we are working to address, just like the Fearless Fund, these structural inequities. We're on the front lines responding to issues like food insecurity, right?
Yes.
Like education inequity, making sure that Black and brown children and youth have access to quality education, right? To remediate some of the byproducts of structural racism. In fact, that's what I founded my company exclusively to do. And I've made it my business and mission to work exclusively with historically minoritized racial groups and social groups. When I think about the LGBTQIA plus 2S community, right? So don't think for a moment, like I've thought about the ripple effect and what implications this poses for me, but I have to tell you,
yes,
I have heard a lot of fear. Just earlier today, I was talking to a sister in the Delta, one of the most historically underserved communities in the world.
yes,
in the US.
yes.
Right? And she says to me, bless her heart, well, you might not want to say what you do too loud because they'll come after you.
What?
Well, I've heard people say things like, and I'm talking to a Black CEO that runs a program that provided like $6 million in scholarships to Black and brown youth, sending them to Ivy League institutions, HBUs in California, state colleges and universities. And clearly her work exists to uplift and elevate youth that are in the margins, right?
Yes.
And I'm talking about her fundraising proposal. We're looking at it, and she's concerned about using language that is suggestive of that very message. And I had to say, well, listen, this is the work that you do. So
Right.
do you not want to talk about the work that you do, or do you not? Because it's impossible for you to discuss education and equity and the how and the why and the impetus for what you're doing without talking about the inequity.
Right.
It's impossible to do that. So I've said all of that to say I'm hearing and seeing and feeling the fear. And I too, while I'm not gonna subscribe to fear, I'm a child of a king.
Sure.
And he said in his word, no weapon formed shall prosper. He said that he didn't give me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So it's difficult for me to subscribe to that. Yet I lost sleep the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up and I laid in my bed for about an hour thinking about these women and how anguishing it has to feel to have a court of law and an organization to say that the work that you're doing to right America's wrongs for a group of people that have had foots on their necks for centuries,
Yes.
is racist when you have no power dynamic as a Black woman. What
Right.
power dynamic do I have to be told that your programming is racist before an audience, before America? Like, that has to really, really sting and hurt. And I know that those sisters' hearts were in the right place when they constructed that remarkable program. So yeah, it's painful what
Yeah.
we're seeing.
Absolutely. Well, it's just like, having a wound and somebody, digs their finger into it, right? And so and then tells you, why are you screaming or why are you crying? Why do you respond, right? But when I think through this issue, we should be up. We should be losing sleep. We should be thinking about it. We should be strategizing. We should be thinking through what is our next move, because this is a chessboard and we can't look at it as checkers. And so they made a move, and there's more moves that they're intending to make. For those who are in a space or think they could be in the line of fire, let's be proactive, because you can talk about the disparity of the funding and the way the funding is allocated amongst different racial groups. You can also talk about it amongst social economic groups. You can also talk about it from geographic groups. And one of the things that this law or this ruling has not outlawed or ruled unconstitutional is how you direct your outreach efforts. So one of the things that, moving through these different spaces that I've been blessed and different tables to sit at, if they want to benefit their community, they don't say this is for whites only. They just make sure they get the applications from the demographic group that they want to receive applications, right?
They might
So,
as well say it. I'm telling you, boy,
yeah.
when you got 1%,
Yeah.
1%.
Mm-hmm. So, for the Fearless Fund, they could keep the same name. They could turn it into whatever name they want. They don't have to change that. But they can do all the same things, do that great work with giving out money, distributing money to where they want to direct it to. They just can't advertise that it's only for Black people, and they can't put that on the application to exclude people. But they can do all the same outreach. For example, they say, hey, we want to foster this money or give this money, direct this money to people who are graduating from HBCUs with engineering degrees. Well, who's the majority of the people coming from there? Or if they want to target, particular companies in particular sectors, or say, hey, we're not giving this 20K to people who already have a $1 billion company. Well, how many of us have that? So you're not excluding us, you're including us, but excluding people without saying we don't want this particular racial group. So, one of the things, and this is just because of the type of work I do, civil rights work, one of the things that I see, and then I have to deal with my own individual clients, is a ruling comes out or a judge says something or opposing counsel says something. They're like, oh man, like they got us. And I'm like, no, they never had us. Like you said, God's had us.
Don't make me hit it again. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I'll do it.
So we have brilliant minds such as yourself, right? They can't keep you in a box. There's no box that could control or contain you. So, I don't like the ruling. I understand what this guy's agenda is, and that is to take the relatively small gains that we have made away from us. But it also gives me more confidence because I say, and we could just think about it in our own daily lives. We don't sweat the small stuff because it's not a threat. The stuff that we're concerned about, we see as a threat. He sees us getting 1%, 2%, 3% of that pie as being enough for us to change the game.
Right.
They didn't even want people to read because they were afraid that if you read, you could surpass them or vote it or, a lot of different things. So
yeah, I had people counting beans,
right.
and coins. Well, if you can't count these coins, you can't. But did your grandfather vote? My granddaddy wasn't voting. He was probably working for your granddaddy.
Absolutely.
Finding ways to disenfranchise folks. I have a question for you.
Yes.
And I hope that for the folks that watch this or watching, my hope is that they are encouraged by your message, they are activated and encouraged to, think strategically, because Key and Prune fundraising and philanthropy, let's be clear, exists to help resource POC led and serving organizations. And I have criteria for how I determine who I work with. You can't make me work in animal welfare or this, and I'm concerned with human welfare. You understand what I'm saying? So while and I don't know if it's just the warrior queen in me, it's like, okay, I was sad about it, and I told the Lord, I said, Lord, it's above me. It's on you. And I know you gifted, it's above me, but I know you gifted me with this fight and this calling, and you did not do that for naught. So I'm just going to steer the course and just move over and let you be God and God this, like you got everything else. You know what I'm saying? And absolutely. But I want to ask you before we jump, where do you find it? And when I ask you, where do you find it? I mean, where do you find it to do what you're doing? You're in courtrooms. I remember when Oscar Grant was killed, and the Burris firm was on that. You're seeing the Fearless Fund ruling has implications for everybody. But for some people, we get to look at it on TV or read the articles, and we might feel a little aloof.
Yes.
What I see you're doing as a civil rights attorney, you're right in the thick of it, and you talk to people that are harmed, and you're championing for their civil rights and civil liberties, right? In the pursuit of happiness and all of this stuff that I'm not supposed to enjoy as a Black person. Where do you find it to do it and keep doing it and keep doing it?
It's, frankly, as you already have talked about, it's divine. It's something that was put in me, not something that I necessarily put in myself. So, the fight and the struggle, I'm constantly motivated to keep it going when I just think about my community, my tribe's experience. I mean, how can we not fight when we know that we come from greatness? It was robbed, it was stolen, it was conspired against, and now, we have to lift ourselves up from the ashes, and that every opportunity to go around the Monopoly board and collect our 200. As soon as we get around the board and collect our 200, there they go wanting to say we owe them 210.
You go to jail.
You go to jail, right?
You go. Remember that one guy's go directly to jail.
Do not
pass go.
Do not pass go. Right. Well, that happened a few times. I'll say, wait, hold on. I don't like this game.
Right.
so I'm supremely committed to trying to right those wrongs, to reset the board, so to speak, and make sure that we get all of everything that's owed to us with tax and interest. And that's why when I see, as you said, a warrior queen such as yourself out there taking on these fights, pulling people's coattails, letting them know about opportunities, but also letting them know about the threats, man, there's enough. We don't need everyone. I wish everyone would join the fight. We just need the right people in the fight. And you're one of those people. I like to think I am too. And there are other like-minded people like us who will always be on the vanguard and aren't going to lay down our arms and aren't going to go to sleep when it's our watch on the post. You know what I mean? So, we just got to keep fighting, and, the righteousness wins one day.
Amen. You know what I want? I want people to leave Black women alone. I really, really do. I just want people to leave Black women alone. Let us have our red carpet moment. You saw what happened to Kelly Rowland looking flawless, and somebody hey, beat it.
Yeah.
Let us have our moment. Let us support thrivers, strivers, and invest in like just the audacity and the aspiration of hope. I want people to leave Black women alone, and I want people to pay Black women like cisgendered white men. I do. That's what I want people to do. Huh?
I love that shirt.
Oh, these shirts are
That's
going to be on sale. Coming to the website soon.
Absolutely.
Listen. I want to thank you for taking the time out. We know your schedule be booked.
I'm blessed. Just
So
like you.
Thank you. And I'm gonna, like you say, hey, pick my chin up and keep fighting the fight and doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely. We need you out there. We appreciate you being out there doing it. And I appreciate you having me on your platform, sharing me and my experience and my point of view with your viewers and followers.
Absolutely. And I've shared your website. If folks want to connect with you, in the market for a wonderful, brilliant, dapper civil rights attorney. This brother be fly too. Listen.
I appreciate
this brother be fly. He be fly, y'all. Don't be,
coming from a fashionista, that means something.
This brother be dapper as hell. So you want a dapper fly attorney? This your guy. So just like that, folks, we are out of here until
You in a position very few people have been in. Now we on the money mission. We on the money mission. If they didn't listen, then they didn't have the vision. Cool, we on the money mission. We on the money mission. Get your money up, money up, money up, money up, money up. Get your money up, money up, money up, money up, money up. Get your money up, money up, money up, money up, money up. Get your